Last episode, our AI visibility tool gave Cavendo.ai a 43, which is a D. Our site builder, Lovable, said the SEO panel looked fine. And we pulled it up on Google. It's crawling the pages, the site's being indexed. All of that's true, but why are we showing up as invisible to AI? This is Cavendo Studios. I'm Jonathan Arehart. We build and run real software in public, which means we do our growth work, SEO, AI visibility out in the open with real numbers, including the ugly ones. The mission is simple. AI is deciding who gets recommended, and most businesses are invisible to it. So we fix that on our own products first, on camera, show you exactly how, so you can do that with yours. If that sounds useful, subscribe and follow along. Today, we're going to show you why, make the fixes, show you what the tech stack looks like, and we're going to get a little technical, a little behind the scenes, and we're going to go ahead and make the fix, then we're going to rescore our site and see how we do. All right, so you'll remember that this website started with a D. So we scored a 43 on our Easy Stats AI score. So it doesn't mean that the site is ugly or that the brand is bad or that there's something substantially wrong. Google can't find the site. We are indexed. It just means that Google can render the JavaScript. Google can see us, but AI crawlers and some of the other bots are not getting enough readable content so they can cite us. So in episode 1, we found the problem, and here we're going to make the fix. Now you may be wondering, how can I tell if this problem affects my website? Well, it's very simple. You go to your webpage and you just go to view source, and you can see quite simply here in the body, this is all that it shows. For a crawler or a bot or something accessing this website, they're not going to see any other content other than your page title, meta description, and that's what we're trying to fix here. So here's the actual stack that we use for Cavendo.ai. So we start with fast build with Lovable. The code syncs to GitHub, so we own the source, the history, and the changes, and then we deploy through DigitalOcean's app platform. So this is a demo stack. This is the real path that takes a site from idea to live using an AI site builder where you can control the source code and have a copy of it outside of that platform, and then you can deploy it. There's plenty of alternatives, so we're not saying this is the right way to do it. This is just the way that we've been able to do it. Just it's a very fast to deploy, very easy to maintain, and gives us flexibility in the future if we want to change out any piece of the puzzle. So if we want to use something other than Lovable, maybe we want to use Bolt or Replit or VO, or maybe we want to switch to a different platform like Astro or WordPress. Those really go far beyond the scope of this episode, and we'll dig into some of those in the future. But let me know in the comments what platforms you would prefer and why. We'll definitely dig into this in the future. You want to own as much of the stack as you can, where you can, and diversification is really going to help you in the long term. So, using GitHub, or you can use GitLab or Bitbucket, really any Git-based repo where you can store the source code there. What's great is Lovable and Figma and a lot of these site builders and platforms, they will automatically sync there every time you make changes on their platform. So it's great. You're always going to have like a real-time backup. You can take that and use it to deploy. We've had great success with DigitalOcean. You can use Vercel, Netlify, Cloudflare, lots of other platforms that can work for the deployment piece as well. And again, you can swap these out at any point in time as your needs change. Okay, we're going to start our fix for adding the pre-render to our Lovable React Invite rendered website. So first, we're going to assume you have already cloned the Git repo, and now we're just going to start by setting up our pre-render branch, and we're going to make sure that we can install and run the app locally. So make sure our website will actually run local on this computer. Now we'll actually do the build. Now we can see that we can see the site locally. So that means everything is good and everything can compile. Now we're going to install the Vite pre-render plugin. Okay, so now we need to make a series of updates in our config files. So we're going to start with vite.config.ts, and we're going to, it should look like this. We're going to add a line here for the Vite pre-render plugin. Now we want to add the plugin inside of the plugins section here. So as you can see on line 16, now we have to be very careful and make sure we add it within the brackets here. So now that we have that added, Now we can switch over to in our source folder, src/main.tsx. We're going to add what we call hydration. So just replace it with this content here. Okay, now for our app.tsx file, this is where we have to do a little more work. We're basically restructuring it a couple of things. One is browser runtime for like real users, and then supporting this pre-rendering the static HTML that is going to solve our visibility issues. We're splitting it into reusable pieces so the routes can be rendered in the browser and during the site build when our DigitalOcean app is actually compiling the site to run. What that looks like this. So the biggest thing is, we have this new routes section for all of our pages, and just now finally we have to create a new file in our source folder called pre-render.tsx. Simply just paste this into file, and that's it. Now we can go back to terminal and we can do our npm run build, and let's see if everything looks good. Looks like everything is good. So now we're just going to simply commit this to our repo. Now do our git push. Now make sure you merge in if you're working on a feature branch. Go ahead and merge that back into your main branch, and then you can push that up to your repo. So this is the nitty gritty of it. When we talk about rendering, there's basically four main technical ways that your site goes from here's our page content, here's the structure, here's the scripts and everything it takes to display a website to a browser. So it starts with pre-render. So that's our choice. It's the easiest to retrofit. You can do it the way that we've outlined in this episode. There's also some other services where you can just swap out the DNS and they'll handle the technical legwork on it. You can use your AI to help walk you through it with your own website. You can follow our guide. A lot of different ways of doing it, but ultimately, pre-render generates like a HTML version of your website that the bots and the crawlers can access. Fastest retrofit. You don't have to rebuild your website. It just sits on top, cleans up the technical foundation, so our site is visible to AI now. Number two is static site generation. Basically, the pages are generated before anyone's visiting the website. So the HTML can still come from React or a content management system or Markdown, AI generated content. Static site generation builds the HTML before anyone asks for it. Number three, SSR, server side rendering. So the classic web model that all of your modern tools use. So WordPress uses PHP, Next.js can do this with React, Laravel, Rails, Django, Remix, etc. There's a lot of options, but this is when the page, you really need it to rely on fresh data. So if it's pricing it based, inventory based, so if you're running a shopping cart, search, anything like that, builds the HTML when someone's calling for it. And it's run on the server. So you need a little more infrastructure to do that. So if it's a WordPress website, it has to be a WordPress compatible hosting platform. There's PHP, there's database, script files, there's everything that it takes to run that site. And then last, we have this hybrid option to mix things up. So you might have SSR for your pricing and search, client rendered dashboards and admin, but basically the hybrid picks the right method based on the page. So for us, pre-render was the right move because it was not going to involve us rebuilding the website. We can just make the changes. We have the pre-render, redeploy the website with that. Now we can go back into Lovable. We can continue to make changes. The pre-render and everything will carry forward with the website. Okay, so if you use Lovable, good news. As of May 13, they are now using a new stack called TanStack Start, which is a modern React framework that is SSR. So it does server side rendering. So you get the pre-rendering built in. This does apply to new projects, new sites that you've created. So if you have a previous one, you're going to have the issues with the pre-rendering not being available. Check it out. I'll put a link in the show description. Okay, so now we have made our changes. We've successfully built the pre-render edition of our website on GitHub. It's deployed through DigitalOcean. So now we see the website. We'll just refresh it. Looks the same. Nothing breaking there. But this is the real test. So now we're going to take a look at the source code and do a refresh, and boom. Now we have everything has pre-rendered and loaded. So now all of the content, all of the text that's on this page that you can see as a human is now readable to crawlers and bots that previously would have issues with JavaScript. So now we're going to go back and we're going to do a live rescore on our website, and we're going to see how this goes. So we've enabled the pre-rendering. We've made no other changes to the website. We've simply enabled it to load the content, load the data. Boom, so that 63. So you can see our AI crawler access is now 100. Everything looks good there. So there's still some room to go. We still can add our LLM's text. We can still work on some structured data. All in all, much better position to be in. All right, just a quick update. After recording this episode, I went back and added our LLM's text file and rescored. And now we're all the way up into the 70s with a B. Small little changes following the recommendations can lead to a lot better position for AI visibility. So here's the honest caveat. We can fix what the source returns. We can fix the technicals on the page. We can publish it and we refresh it, and you see that all happens very quickly. But search engines and AI, the crawlers and the bots, they don't update instantly. So it's going to take a little bit of time for the information to get out there, for the aggregators and the crawlers and the bots to refresh their index and see, oh yeah, this website's there. Something's coming up and it's a live query. So if I'm going into ChatGPT or Claude or some of the others and they're actually doing like a live hit, then yes, that's going to be available now. So today's win is the technical fix. Page is no longer just empty. The longer term question is whether that gets picked up immediately, how long that takes. We'll see how that reflects in citations. So we'll come back in a little while, a future episode, and we'll take a fresh look. We'll see how it's going. So don't confuse the response there, how we made the changes and see it instantly with instant results. It's still going to take time, just like when you make changes on your website. It takes time for Google and the other search crawlers to notice the changes, update their index. Next episode, we're back to other AI issues and how you can solve this for your business. Real numbers and in public. If you want to know where your own site stands, drop your URL in the comments and I'll send you your AI score for free. If you want to watch us drag this score up the scale, subscribe because we rerun the exact same numbers as we go. That's the whole channel. Real numbers, honestly interpreted in public. Jonathan Arehart, see you on the next one.